Marvellous, love, absolutely super. Yes, it's a behind-the-scenes show today, including an exclusive look at the making of an unusual PC game, Magic Carpet.
And now be going behind the scenes of a brand new Flintstones musical.
Yabba dabba doo!
Bad boy, Fang! Bad boy! Get down! Hello, slimy furtlers. Just trying to train Fang for the pet show. Now stay down! Down, I say! Daddy's got to get on with the cheats! My first cheat for today is for Global Gladiators on the Mega Drive. It lets you skip levels at any point during the game. Simply pause the game and type in B, C, B, A, B, B, C, B, A, B.
Peter, you did it!
Then unpause the game. And you'll skip straight to the next level. There we go. Hey, hey. Wow, 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 wow. Bang. Get off. Now stay, Bad Fang. Stay.
Cue votes on 2.
But first, have a look at this. It's one of our studio TV monitors that's been damaged because it's had the same bright image left on it for too long. Look, you can see that's the clock that goes up before the programme, and you can just vaguely see the numbers there. But this doesn't just happen to studio monitors. In the early days of video games, people who played Pong for many months soon found white lines developing around the edges and down the middle of their screens. Now, because of this, most modern computers have a special program built in called a screensaver. This is our studio PC, and if we don't touch it for a while, then the screensaver will begin to run. In this case, it's the name of the manufacturer rolling across the screen.
It wasn't long before the programmers got bored with just rolling the company name across the screen, so they started to tinker with the screensavers and make them funnier. In fact, one of our Deep Techies here at Bad Influence has programmed this one with a very important message for our director. It says, time for a tea break, Jeremy.
And if your programming skills aren't so hot, you can buy a whole range of different screensavers to load onto your machine. This is a very famous one called Flying Toasters. Can of Worms is a fun one. The worms destroy your files by gobbling them up. This one's called Aquatic, and it gives you some wonderfully exotic fishy screensavers. And this one produces a bouncing globe. You can put any picture you want on it. Guess who's been fertling? But this brand new Star Wars screensaver's my favourite. It's a galaxy far, far away from Flying Toasters. All your favourite bits from the film are here, including this lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. There's a famous scene in the Death Star Trench as the TIE fighters chase the Rebel X-Wings. And you can even type in important messages in the famous Star Wars scroll. Here's one I prepared earlier. Time for a tea break, Jeremy.
Oh, no, sorry, lovey, no tea break today. Just carry on with the item, and could you do it better, please? Thank you.
Now, normally at this point, I'd be frantically trying to work out what the next bit of the demo was. Because it's a screensaver, I just have to sit back and watch. There's loads in it, including biographies of all the Star Wars characters. In fact, there's so much information in it that soon I'll need a screensaver from a screensaver.
And cue Andy. Oh, that's me. Right, our main review this week is Stunt Race FX on the SNES, the latest game to use the Super FX chip. Stunt Race FX is an unashamedly cute game with little cartoony cars, but there are loads of tracks to choose from, including the Aqua Tunnel, which is set mainly underwater. There's also a selection of racers. Each car handles differently. The 4x4, for example, is slow, but it holds the road well, whereas the F-Type has brilliant acceleration, but corners on its door handles. So, plenty of options, but is it fun to play? Here's Adam.
The programmers have got it just about right with this game. The graphics are very smooth for a console, and you've got plenty of control over the car. For tricky tracks like Night Out, which is the hardest on a novice difficulty level, it's best to use a four-wheel drive car which has good acceleration and a strong body, so that if you crash it doesn't matter too much and you won't die so easily. And one of the best things about this game is it has selectable views, a close-up, a long shot and a cockpit view. There are 4 so-called stunt tracks in the game from which the game gets its name. This is one of them. They're not really stunts, you just drive around collecting stars. I would have preferred stunts in the style of hard driving with jumps, loops and so on. This is a 2-player mode, which really lets the game down. It doesn't go fast enough because it's splitting the screen into 2. And a lot of the screen is taken up with pointless maps and statistics which nobody's really looking at anyway. On top of this, they haven't even taken the opportunity to add guns and bombs to allow you to destroy the other opponent. You just have to race him to the finish. It's a real missed opportunity. This is a really good game which might have got a 5 if it wasn't for the bad 2-player option and the 4 stunt tracks.
I like the cartoony graphics and the fact that you can see the car from different angles.
It's fast and fun with some nice graphic touches.
but I didn't actually get any sense of being in the race.
And so the final scores for Stunt Race FX, both the girls and the boys gave it a playable 4 out of 5.
So a score of 4 for Stunt Race FX. Now very quickly I'll just explain how the marking works here on Bad Influence. Our panel of expert game players mark games out of 5. To get 5, a game has got to be something really special like Super Mario Kart, original when it came out and great fun to play. 4-point games are pretty darn good, but they're perhaps not quite so original. R-Type's a good example of that, fun to play, but not quite as original. Average games score 3. Average games are a bit like teachers. They wear dull clothes, but some of them are okay when you get to know them. Sadly, most games fall into this category, including Asterix. Our advice with the price of games these days, unless you especially like the character or the style of game, avoid 3-pointers. 2-point games. What do 2-point games have going for them? Well, only 1 or 2 things, really. The rest of it will be a bit disappointing, so we wouldn't recommend you buy that. Crewball is a good example of a 2-point game. And 1-pointers are to be avoided like the plague. They are games like Pit Fighter. There aren't many of them around, but those that score 1 point are real stinkers. And now, on a more uplifting note, off to the town of Bedrock.
Wilbur, I'm home.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. They're a page right out of history. Fred and Barney really are a page right out of history. They started life as a cartoon nearly 40 years ago. The animators had a great time thinking up prehistoric versions of modern technology. Everything from Stone Age cars to dinosaur cranes. Now, it's easy to draw all that stuff, but making it come to life for a movie was a dinosaur of a task for the producers.
All right, let's clear it, please. Here we go.
They had to call on all the very latest movie technology to make the town of Bedrock real in front of the camera. The dinosaurs were a mixture of robotic models and computer graphics, and as usual in movies nowadays, much of the work was done after the location filming was complete. Creating effects like that live on stage is impossible, so visitors to Universal Studios Hollywood get to see something quite different. Flintstones Live is an old-fashioned musical.
I want Batman.
Fred wins a Bedrock talent contest and is flown to Holly Rock, USA to make the world's first rock video. From the audience, it all looks very low-tech, but because the show has to be repeated up to 15 times a day, every day of the year, with 3 different casts, behind the scenes, the show has almost as much computer technology as the movie. The main computer sits at the back of the theater and runs the whole show. The action on stage is divided into a series of events, such as when the house set slides forward. Before it sends the signal to start the motor to move the set, the computer checks that everyone and everything is in the right position. Then, for safety reasons, it makes a light flash on a control panel on stage. A member of the crew has to press an enable button to confirm that no one's accidentally wandered into the path of the set. When all's well, the set slides out, pulled by a chain mechanism under the floor. Of course, there's still plenty for the stage crew of 8 to do, including some pretty nifty rope work to fly in the newspaper headlines. Chief Techie on the show, Ilya Popo, took me backstage for a closer look.
This is the start of our Twitch sequence here, where Fred jumps in the volcano and gets launched out. Well, we don't really launch Fred out. What we do is we have a dummy that's in the backside of the volcano. But Fred does jump in, goes through a trap door that's under the volcano. Once he enters that trap door, he has to get to what we call an enable button. That enable button tells our computer and our technical director that, hey, I'm here, I'm safe, and he has to stay on it for the duration of the scene. Well, once he's on his button, technical director pushes his button, closes that door, opens another door, and launches our dummy out of our backfall volcano, simulating like we launched the Fred who fell in. Therefore, we don't lose an actor every show.
This is Z-Right, having a gay old time in Bedrock.
And cue Violet.
Gay old Z there. The Flintstones game isn't out till nearer Christmas, but we've got an incredibly early version of it. So early, in fact, that it isn't even in the cartridge yet. There's only 1 level and there's no sound. We've been told the finished version of the game will feature sample of speech from the film and all the familiar characters. Fred, Wilma, Pebbles, Barney and Dino. It's a platform game, and for a change, the sprites actually look like the actors in the film. And now for this week's news and preview.
The Lion King is the latest Disney blockbuster to get the video game treatment. It's due out on 8 formats. This is what it looks like on the SNES. You play Simba the Lion Cub as he leaps around 12 levels of beautifully animated platform adventures. It's not all fun and frolics, though. There are some mean baddies in here, like these hyenas in the elephant's graveyard.
Basketball stars are cropping up in the most unlikely of places these days. Here's Shaquille O'Neal, featuring in the world's first beat-em-up featuring an NBA superstar. It's called Shaq Fu, and it's for the Mega Drive and SNES. The huge Shaquille performed his own martial arts stunts for digitising into the game, so imagine a kick from a size 22 boot. Ouch. Meanwhile, Michael Jordan makes his video game debut in an arcade adventure called Chaos in the Windy City. An evil scientist has captured the NBA's best players, and Jordan has to rescue them, using his athletic skills and some pretty nifty basketball power-ups.
The battle for your Christmas pennies is hotting up, with the big boys announcing their plans this week. For a penny under £130, you can choose between virtual racing with a Mega Drive from this weekend, or the much-acclaimed Donkey Kong Country with a SNES from December the 2nd.
Go, Fang, go! Come on! Up! Hey! Up! Right. Right! That is it! I've had it up to here with you. I've given you every opportunity to learn show jumping, and you've showed no interest at all. So, come here. Over here we go, yes. In there for you. Tighten this up a bit. Hello, slimy furtlers. I didn't see you there for a minute. On with the cheats. This one is for Bubsy the Bobcat on the SNES. It lets you skip to the penultimate level. Simply type in BTC LMB like that, select, down to exit, press start, and there we are, Lethal Wooly! Hey! Ah! Fang! Oh no! Fang! Oh, Fang! Nice Fang! I wasn't really going to catapult you.
Oh, well, I hope Fang gets him, and cue Violet.
This is a very special game. It's called Magic Carpet, and it's going to be huge. It starts off as a flight sim, then it becomes an arcade shoot-'em-up and strategy game all rolled into one. The story is simple. A catastrophe has split the world into separate realms. You're a wizard whose task it is to restore these kingdoms so you can rule over them. You have several enemies, like bees and dragons, and the other wizards. These wizards can be controlled by up to 7 other people, all playing on their computers. Now, to play the game, first of all, you have to get your bearings, then you have to build your base. Just zoom up, you can see it, and you just build your castle and watch your base grow. There are 32 incredible spells. This is a spell selection screen. I've just selected volcanoes. Now, watch this. Oh, there it is. Spectacular. Oh, I have to back right up to see that. It's so tall. Now, fireballs. I've also selected fireballs. These are pretty lethal. But if we go back, I'll show you my absolute favourite. I'll just select it. There you go. Earthquake. Now, if I find myself a nice little bit of land, oh, here we go, rending the ground asunder. If you're listening in surround sound, you'll know that this game features it because you can hear the enemies coming up behind you before you can see them.
Boo. Yeah, but I'm not in surround sound, so you can't. The team that brought you Magic Carpet are also responsible for PC games you'll know, like Syndicate, Populous, and this year's big hit, Theme Park. Games like this take an enormously long time to develop, and the head of programmers on Magic Carpet and the others is this man here, Peter Molyneux.
Hi.
Welcome to Bad Influence.
Thank you.
Some of the early software you brought to show us,
Yeah.
this is kind of stuff that you started with and then rejected. What did you reject first, as it
Well,
were?
this was about 3 years ago, and as you can see, although it's fairly smooth and you are travelling over a landscape, there's too many blocks there, and if you look at this door there, it just flickers too much.
Yeah.
So we rejected that.
So that one was out of the window.
Yeah.
So what did you go to next then?
Okay, let me just show you that. So with this technique, you can see that the ground is actually much, much smoother, but we couldn't have the range of colours that we needed to show above land. So we switched it to below water, but we really still weren't happy with it.
Okay, so that went out of the window as well. So what do we get to
next? So we start
next?
again, and I'll just move to that now. Now with this technique here, you can see a lot of the Magic Carpet elements coming in. We've got the landscape, we've got the sea and the coast, and these trees. When you're programming initially, you have to grab graphics from absolutely anywhere.
Yeah, those are populous trees,
you're
aren't
absolutely
they?
right.
You've
They are,
nicked those. How many years ago is this?
This is about a year ago.
Okay, and there's no gameplay here though, is there?
No, absolutely not at all. That's where the problems really start, and we have to we've got the engine, we have to squeeze a game in there, and we do that by just testing and playing and testing and playing.
Okay, well, it's been very interesting seeing the game in development. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. The big test, of course, will come when the Bad Influence review panel get their sweaty mitts on it. That will be in mid-November. In the meantime, here's what they thought of a couple of this week's new releases.
He's back, that Aussie demon Taz, spinning and whirling his way through a plethora of planets as he tries to escape the evil clutches of Marvin the Martian, who's imprisoned him on Mars. Here's Angela.
The aim of the game is to rescue Taz, but who'd want to? I'd leave him there. I've seen it all before. If you've seen the first game, you'll probably find this very familiar. It's boring because it's so much like the first. There's a few new moves where he can bounce off walls, and the little nice touch where he eats a box of rocks, rubs his tummy, rolls his eyes, but it doesn't add to the playability. Despite the nice graphics, it's a very dull and annoying game.
It's an old game with new levels. It's really poor, and whoever wrote it needs to be sent to Tasmania.
It looks nice, but there's just nothing new here, so you can't be bothered to keep playing.
And the scores for Taz, Escape from Mars, the girls gave it a not worth bothering with 2 out of 5, and the boys gave it a catastrophic 1 out of 5.
Meet Kid Chaos, who stars in a new platform adventure on the Amiga. The kid's a bit of a thug. He's a caveman who's been thrust into another dimension and kitted out with a nifty skinhead outfit. Now he must bash his way through 20 levels so he can get back home to prehistoric times. Does Kid Chaos have that magic fun factor? Here's Lee.
This didn't appeal to me at first because it looks a bit babyish, but it is a top quality game once you get into it. There's a really destructive character. Basically, he goes around bashing everything he sees. The music and sound effects are brilliant and they really add to the gameplay. It's really easy just to pick up and play. But I think the programmers have overdosed on Sonic a bit. This is a bonus level. You get extra weapons and it's great fun. It also adds a new style of gameplay. This will give you a good challenge. It's one of the best ever platform games I've played on the Amiga.
I didn't really like this. It's just an average platformer with no real surprises.
I didn't like the main character very much. He's a miserable looking thug, but it's a really playable game.
And the scores for Kid Chaos, the girls gave it an average 3 out of 5, and from the boys, thumbs up with 4.
Oh, hello, slimy furtlers. Still not managed to find Fang yet, so I suppose I better get on with today's last cheat. It's a level code for humans on the Game Boy, and it takes you to the last but one level. Just enter NJHN on the password screen. There you go. Code correct. And you get to level 18. Phew. So, that's all the cheats for today, Furtler. Oh, let go! Stop, will you? Just let go, Fang!
And next week, Fang will be taking over the cheat section. Last week's competition prize was a 3DO end game. We asked you how long it took the light from the sun to reach the Earth to the nearest minute. The answer is 8 minutes. We had 16,000 entries, and the lucky winner is Robert Stevens from Stockton-on-Tees. Well done. 10 runners-up get Bad Influence t-shirts. Their names are going along the bottom of the screen now.
This week's competition prize is a SNES with a copy of Stunt Race FX, and the question is as follows. Who won the British 1994 Formula 1 Grand Prix? If you know, call us on 0891 555 999. The call will cost you no more than 25p, but do please get permission from whoever pays the phone bill before you dial, because you can't win if you don't get permission. And cue on, Violet.
That's it for this week, but we leave you now with a real exclusive, a sneak preview of the next game from the Magic Carpet People. Working title, Biosphere. This is the future.
Run credits and VT, goodbye.
Bye.
Marvellous. You were very, very good indeed. Yeah, we must do lunch, you know. Get your people to call my people. In fact, why don't your people have lunch with my people before you and I have lunch?
Well, anyway, there was one bit, lovely, that I thought that you weren't quite so good, though.
Oh, really? Oh, I see. I see, that's the way it's working. I see how this program's shaping up.